where my journey started was actually after giving birth. I had never ever experienced any kind of pelvic floor dysfunction before that. And here I am on this image with my two small kids, being very happy and content, actually. Not knowing that in about 3 months, I was gonna face a grade 3 prolapse, a grade 1 rectocele, grade 3 cystocele, vaginal wideness that was kind of out of this world. It really made me extremely depressed, and also hemorrhoids. So those were symptoms that I was experiencing. So I was amazed in a way that I could face all of that, because I have really spent my life deep diving into health. It's been the greatest passion. I've always kind of worked with health in one way or another. I've been a yoga teacher for 17 years. I've started an organization to implement yoga into schools, working with kids, also having other perspectives on health, like working with food, working with personal development, all of this. And I really, really thought I was living a healthy life, also in a preventative purpose. So I thought, not of course that I was immune to everything, but you know, when I faced the pelvic floor dysfunctions that I had, I was so extremely affected and depressed, and I thought my life was over. I didn't want to live. Like, I didn't feel any type of joy. And I was also in shock that this could happen to me, because, you know, I was healthy. So I thought, at least. So, of course, I didn't realize at that point that I was misled. I felt more that something was wrong with me. Like, everyone else can do this and I can't, even though I have spent so much time, energy, and money to invest in my health. But with perspective, I can really actually misled. And of course, no one wanted to harm me. But that's the thing with myths and other lies that are out there about our pelvic health, because they are extremely limiting if you want to heal. Like, they're going to make you not go all the way. So now I want to present the top 3 myths that I want to share. So the first one in regards to pelvic health is it's common, but it's not normal. So I don't know if you know anything about the statistics of, for example, prolapse or incontinence, but it's a huge number of women. More than 50% are facing this during their lifetime. So 50% prolapse and 50% incontinence, probably mixed there as well. And these are just 2 symptoms. And we have mapped out about 70 symptoms connected to pelvic floor issues. And so, of course, it's common. And unfortunately, what the society and what the systems out there are telling us is also that it's normal. That's what I got to hear. Like, you've given birth, you have to, like, it's normal to have a prolapse. That's just something you have to count in if you're going to give birth, which is so unreasonable, because also I didn't know what a prolapse was until I faced it. So yeah, I don't know, lack of information and transparency there, I think. But I just really want to say that our bodies, if we go back to our bodies, they want to function. They want to thrive. They want to be healthy. So that's why it's not normal. From our body's perspectives, this is not normal. It's not. Normal is to function in the optimal way that our bodies can function. So that's number one, myth number one that I really want to bust. It's common, but it's not normal. I hope that all of you agree with me. The second one, when it comes to pelvic health, is definitely your pelvic floor needs strengthening. So most of us do not need strengthening at all. What we want and need is a reflexive pelvic floor. And this is something else than a strong pelvic floor or a loose or like wide pelvic floor. A reflexive pelvic floor is a pelvic floor that supports you when you are living your life. And you can do whatever you want to. You can lift your kids, you can exercise the way you want to, you can run, you can jump, you can go to the toilet without being scared. You can also decide at what point in time you want to go to the toilet and when you release pee or poop. So all of this is a reflexive pelvic floor rather than a strong pelvic floor. And why does this matter? Well, most pelvic floor dysfunctions are due to tension in the pelvic floor. And it might be tensed muscles, like overworked, super tired muscles that are just super tense. Like we can have similar tension in the neck and other areas, like in our backs. There are also a different type of tension that occurs more in the fascia. It's called adhesions. So it's just a tension that makes the fascia and also then the muscles and the nerves, because the fascia is such a crucial component in the pelvic floor, will be affected by this type of tension. So adding, for example, Kegels, I'm not saying that no one should ever do Kegels again. I'm saying we should do a test on our own bodies and see how they respond to it, because statistics say that about 30% of all women have benefits from doing Kegels. So I would never tell them to stop doing Kegels. But if we don't get any effect, or if symptoms becomes worse if we strengthen our pelvic floor, we need to stop. And we need to address our pelvic floor from a different perspective where it can become more reflexive and vital. Like vitality is the most important thing here because we want it to function properly. A prolapse needs to be lifted up in place. Because I think it's a very common mistake to look at a prolapse as something that is falling. It is falling down, and it's stuck. It's stuck there. There's no possibility of it coming back up again. And the reason for this is super exciting. It's something called bio-tensegrity. Bio-tensegrity is what all the new science is about when it comes to the body. And you can see the image here is a bio-tensegrity model. So it simply means that we need a certain amount of tension in between different points in the body. So for example, if I take my finger into this thing here on the photo, the bio-tensegrity model, and I kind of do this with my finger, I make some circles, I make some knots, I just make it not look like this any longer, the whole model will be affected, right? And that's exactly the same thing with our fascia. So our fascia is the largest organ in the body. And if we affect one point, another point will also be affected. And when it comes to adhesions and scar tissue, what it does is that it kind of grips onto the fascia creating the tension in that area, but it also creates an imbalance in the rest of the pelvic floor and vagina. So it's actually what happens when we have scar tissue and adhesions, sorry, becoming too excited, is that it creates a pull down in the fascia. So it's not a fall, it's something pulling the vaginal walls to slowly come down. Also because the organs that we have in our pelvis, which is the bladder, the uterus, and the rectum, will also create some pressure and like make it come down. So it's not like your vaginal wall just fell and now it's, you know, we can't do anything. We can actually work on the areas of tension and start to release and vitalize and make the pelvic floor more reflexive. So these are the top 3 myths that I really felt an urge to share with you if and when you are ready, you know, to really start to reflect on your healing journey, because these myths can really set boundaries for how far we can go on our healing journeys.